What if your iOS code wrote itself with you in the driver's seat? Today, I'll show you how to make another SwiftUI app using Claude and Windsurf. We will prompt, tweak, and ship a tiny but very useful tip calculator app. Perfect for beginners. Let's go. Hey everyone, I'm Amir, and today we're going to be building another exciting iOS app together using Windsurf and Claude. So as you can see, Windsurf is open on my screen and there is Claude Sonnet 4.5, the best coding model as of today, is selected, and we're going to be working on creating a new project for our tip calculator app and then take the next steps on how to actually implement it. So as you can see, we have Windsurf open, and Windsurf actually has a cascade code that helps you basically code, and it's like the brain of Windsurf that actually uses Claude Sonnet 4.5 or other AI models to actually edit code, and then you can actually chat with it, ask your questions. So I'm just going to give you a quick overview of what Windsurf is capable of doing and then start creating our project. So before we start, I wanted to quickly show you how to get started with Windsurf and how to download it and how to install Xcode on your MacBook. So the only things you need is a MacBook or a virtual MacBook you can use on the cloud, and Windsurf and Xcode. So I will show you exactly how to download Windsurf. So you basically go to windsurf.com, click on download. You can download it for free, and then you wait for it to be downloaded. If you have Apple Silicon, you choose this one, and if you have the older version of MacBooks, choose download for Intel. And then once it's downloaded, you can just install it on your computer. In order to install Xcode, you go to App Store, you search for Xcode, and here you click on download and you wait for it to be downloaded. And once it's downloaded, you will be able to create your first iOS project. Windsurf feels like VS Code with an AI brain. It can help you chat with your code, prompt your codes. It has an inline help and autocomplete features. So for example, you can describe what you want and it drafts the codes or edit your files for you. So for example, I can just ask it to add a new functionality to my code that creates a button that makes the background color change. And you just type it in and you just hit enter and it'll just do it for you. I'm just doing it as an example. Another funny feature and another important feature that it has is, I'm just going to stop this, that you can actually chat with your code and ask questions. So for example, I'm just wondering what this piece of code does for me, and I will select it and I'll click on chat and I'll ask it, explain what this code does. And this is actually very helpful because you can actually use your AI, whatever model it is, Claude Sonnet or ChatGPT 5 or whatever, to learn more about your code. And it's actually like having a tutor right in front of you. So for example, it's explaining what this piece of code does. I know it's a button, and it says this code creates a delete button for each task row in Taskmaster. This is our previous app that we covered in our previous tutorial. Feel free to have a look at it as well. This was a very fun project. And then it explains step by step what our code actually does. And then it explains what's the visual design, icon, styling, purpose, etc. And you can basically ask any questions about your code and it'll just answer it. So when Xcode is downloaded, you click on open and you create a new project by clicking here. You make sure iOS is selected from here and you click on app, click next, give your project a name. So our project is going to be Tip Calculator, so I'm going to just give it a name. You make sure your team is selected, which is basically your Apple ID developer account and your organizational identifier. So mine is Blacksmith Codeworks. You make sure interface is SwiftUI and the language is Swift, and you leave the rest of the options as default. So click next and then you give it a path. I basically leave it as desktop, so I click on create, and as you can see, it's created my account here. So I'll click on fix to fix our Git repository. It's basically looking for additional information, so I leave it be for now. And as you can see, it loads up the very basic project for us here. So we wait for it to load. It's indexing and processing files, as you can see. Yes, so this is our very basic Hello World app, and we're just gonna run it on a simulator. So we make sure iPhone 16 Pro is selected, and we click here, build succeeded, and it's opening our simulator here. Yes, okay, so this is our default Hello World app. So we go back to Xcode, we stop the simulator, and we go back to Windsurf. So here in Windsurf, you need to basically open the folder that we just created. So we click on open folder, and we go to desktop and double click on our tip calculator. So it's asking for access, so we allow it, and we also trust the authors. And as you can see on the left, all our project files that are here in Xcode are exactly here as well. So it's basically accessing the same folder. So we click on this icon here, which is toggle cascade sidebar, which opens the cascade code, which is basically the agent that we use inside Windsurf. And here we make sure that we're going to make sure that Claude Sonnet 4.5 is selected. It's the latest Claude model as of today, but by the time you're watching this video, there might be even newer models available. So here we will start asking what we want to do in our project, basically. So I have already written down what I want to do, so I will paste it here. So create a SwiftUI Tip Calculator screen with a currency text field for bill amount, decimal, a slider for tip percentage, 0 to 30%, and show value as percentage, a stepper for the number of people, 1 to 10, computed labels, tip amount, total, and total per person, basic layout with padding and clear section labels, and we wanted to make it beginner friendly and add simple input validation. So we click on send, and we wait for it to do its thing. So it analyzed our tip calculator folder, and it's reading our content Swift file, content view Swift file. So wait and see what it's gonna do. Okay, so I'm just gonna expand it a little bit here. And as you can see, it already made all these changes. So we basically review this code that it created. We just want to make sure that it is exactly what we want. So it added 105 lines of code and added this state very private vars, added 105 lines of code and all these variables, and it deleted parts of the default view in our content view Swift file. So we're going to accept these changes, and now we're going to go back to Xcode and run our simulator again to see how our project looks now. Okay, awesome. So this is exactly what we wanted. So we wanted tip percentage, the number of people that is added as a stepper, tip amount, total, and per person. So if the bill amount is say $98 and we want to tip say 15%, and there is say 4 people in that restaurant that we have eaten together, so the tip amount will be $14.70 per person. So now we will just stop our simulator. Now I will ask Windsurf to make the input safer and properly formatted. So I will ask it to do this here. Improve content view, safely parse the bill text input, treat empty or invalid as 0, format currency outputs using number formatter with the current locale, dismiss keyboard when tapping return. So again, I will tap enter and I will let it do its magic. So while it's doing it, I will just give you a quick tip. So when you're working with AI, such as Claude or Windsurf or any other AI agents, it is best to ask it 3 to 5 specific things to do. It performs actually much better when you ask it to do 3 to 5 things. And you need to be specific in those 3 to 5 things. So it made some changes to our code. We'll review it very quickly and see what it did. Changes made: safe bill text field parsing, so enhanced bill value computed property with explicit empty string check with using guard. Empty or invalid input now safely returns 0. Added clear inline comments explaining the safety logic. And then currency formatting with number formatter and keyboard dismissal on return. And yeah, as you can see, it did everything we asked for. So we accept all, and we go back to Xcode to see how changes made effect. So here, let's try typing no value. It will certainly tell us that we need to enter a valid number, and if we enter a negative number, it does the same thing. Oh, that's interesting. It actually accepts negative numbers. So this is a bug that we need to fix as soon as possible. So we quickly close this simulator, we go back to Windsurf, and I just plainly and simply explain that fix an issue that lets the user enter negative numbers. It does not make sense. Let's see what it does. Okay, it says you're right, and Claude is known for telling people that you're absolutely right, and I think they made a slight change to that. It says you're right, thank you. Negative bill amounts don't make sense. I'll add validation to prevent negative numbers from being entered or used. Let's see what it did. Let value equals double bill amount, return max 0 or value. Means that if the value is less than 0, it will only return the value. Oh, cut this part. Yeah, and it says if not bill amount is empty and double bill amount less than 0, then text amount cannot be negative, and then the font and styling. So yeah, this is the message we will see if we enter a negative amount. So we accept all, we go back to Xcode, we run the app again, and now if I enter a negative number, negative 29, it says amount cannot be negative, please enter valid number, and it doesn't do any tip calculations anymore. That's exactly what we need. As I mentioned, if you want the best results, list 3 to 5 specific changes and then let the AI do its thing. So if you recall, when we asked Windsurf to make the input safer, it used the guard statement to make this happen. So I wanted to give you a quick overview of what guard is. As you can see on our line 24, guard not bill amount is empty, else return 0. So what does that mean? So let me show you what guard is. So in Swift, guard statement provides a way to exit a scope early if a condition is not met. It is commonly used for validating preconditions, unwrapping optionals, and ensuring that necessary conditions are met before proceeding with the rest of the code within a function or a loop. So basically, we use guard when we want to make sure that if something does not happen, well, basically, let me put it this way. What happens if a condition is not met? And the syntax is guard condition else, and then the block of code that we want to execute. Statements to execute if the condition is false. This block must transfer control out of the current scope using a statement like return, break, or continue or throw. And in our code, what happened is that we are using guard, and we say if we're basically saying guard not bill amount dot is empty, means that if the bill amount is not empty, not bill amount dot is empty, else return 0, means that if the bill amount is not empty, return 0, means that if you just leave this empty, it will just consider it as 0 and then calculate the tip as 0 basically. So now let's make a tiny change to make the UI a bit more clear and more friendly. So we want to basically have bigger numbers, labels, and spacing. So we're going to ask Claude Sonnet 4.5 to do this. Apply lightweight visual polish. Use a form with sections or a VStack with labeled groups emphasize totals with larger font and weight. So these ones are separate. Each one of these ones is a separate point. Emphasize totals with larger font and weight. Add accessibility labels for voiceover. Add a little explanatory text for beginners. So we want to make the UI overall friendlier and a bit more clear. So let it do its swimming. I'll apply visual polish and accessibility improvements to make the app more user-friendly and accessible. All right, so it's creating the headers and the labels that we asked for, the sections with different fonts and styling. It says it has added a footer. The standard is this much. The percentage split between, and so on. So let's Excel and see how it looks in practice. We're gonna run it again. Okay, so as you can see, the numbers are much more visible and it's easier to read. So let's say we're gonna give a tip of the total bill amount is $104, and then the tip percentage is, let's say, 21%. Standard tip is this much, just based on service quality. So imagine you really like the service and there is 4 of us there, so it's gonna be a total of $21 for the tip. So there's the total of $21.48 for the total tip, and then the total bill is this much, $125.84. So per person, including the tip, it will be $31.46. Amazing. So we have made great progress so far, but let's do another tiny modification to our code so that the app remembers the last amount of tip the user entered. It's a very simple change, but it's a big UX win from the user experience perspective. So in order to make the app remember something, we need to use persistence, a variable, and it basically pops it out upon next launch. So in order to use persistence, we use app storage in iOS, and we go back to Windsurf and simply ask it to use app storage to persist the tip percentage so it restores on the next launch. Keep name simple like default tip, and we hit enter. Okay, it says I'll update the tip percentage to use add app storage for persistence across app launches, and it just made one line of code to modify. Let's see what it did. Add app storage default tip private var tip percentage double equals 15.0. Okay, so let's accept that change, rerun the app, and let's just make the tip 27% and enter the bill amount is, say, $75. So we just leave it as is, and we close the app, we relaunch it, and we're gonna see what happens. Yes, that's exactly what happened. So we wanted the tip percentage to persist, and that's exactly what it did. So you can try a different value. Let's say you wanna tip no more than 5%, and you wanna keep in mind so that you don't tip by accident more than that. Close the app, relaunch. Yes, and as you can see, it can remember it because we used persistence to save this, to store it internally. It's a small feature, but a big UX win from the user experience perspective. So let's add another tiny change to our code. Let's add a tiny motivational message so that if our tip is more than 20%, the app says you're awesome with a subtle animation. Let's do that. Let's add a tiny, if tip percentage greater than or equal to 20, show a friendly text, you're awesome, below the slider with a subtle scale opacity animation. Keep it simple and accessible. Let it do its thing. I'll add a friendly message with animation. Let's see what it does. Adding some fun features to your app kind of helps you learn better, because when you enjoy doing something, when you're doing something delightful, it sticks in your memory. So let's see what it's exactly here. If the percentage greater than or equal to 20, text You're awesome. That font subheadline, that font weight, that medium, that foreground color. So these are all the stuff you can actually modify yourself as well. So if you don't like green, you can switch to another color. That frame, that transition. So this is the exact animation that we asked for. So let's accept all and go back to Xcode and run our app. So let's enter the bill amount is $65 and the tip percentage is 26. It says you're awesome. Let's go back. You can see that. Yeah. So we didn't need any libraries to do that. It was pure SwiftUI. Coding with AI isn't magic. It's a loop, an iteration. Basically, you just need to describe your goal, let the AI draft, run and test, ask the AI to improve or fix, and repeat this cycle. If someone confuses you, just ask the AI to explain. Coding with AI is exactly like following software development lifecycle methodologies like Agile. So you basically plan and you design and you develop and you test and you deploy and you review and you launch. So this cycle keeps continuing. Coding with AI is no different than real software engineering, except that you have a very powerful tool that enables you to do phenomenal. So in around 20 minutes, we created an Xcode SwiftUI app, used Windsurf and Claude Sonnet 4.5 to scaffold UI and logic. We hardened input plus formatted currency, published layout and accessibility, added persistence with app storage, added a tiny animated delight. This is AI assisted coding, guys. You describe, AI drafts, you steer. Here are some questions and answers you might find helpful. First, do I still need to learn Swift? Yes, AI helps, but understanding the basics definitely lets you guide it. What if AI code is wrong? That's normal. Refine your prompt, ask it to fix. Can I build bigger apps like this? Absolutely. Same loop, more files, start small, iterate. You'll get there in no time. In the next tutorial, I will build a feature-rich app using the same flow. And then later, I will compare AI tools head to head. If you liked this video, please like, subscribe, and tell me in the comments what you want me to add next. Dark mode, receipt scanning, or a quick export to PDF. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.